last month, but got mixed up. So we'll have it this today. I'm not going to do an introduction because I think everyone knows Oliver, and probably everyone here has dove with Oliver. So so I'm going to turn it over to Oliver and let you go on diver propulsion vehicles.
Welcome. Let's see. Okay, I can stand over here. Good. All right, so we're going to have fun today. We're going to do some videos of cool DPV stuff, some amazing commercial videos, and some done by Derek of us actually running our DPVs around. We're going to talk about DPVs and a type that the club members have been buying, and then we're going to do a show and tell. I brought mine over here. So let's start out with the presentation. Okay, so we're going to talk about what I've called modern diver propulsion vehicles. A few years ago, a new line of them came out. This is one of them right here. And we'll do kind of general DPVs and then hone in on that line. And so I'd say, in my opinion, this is the new diver's toy, right? There's always a new diver's toy that comes around. This is the thing to get now. Or if you look at Ronald Spangler's quote, "Kicking long distances is for suckers." Next slide. So let's start out with a great video. What happens when you combine 70 feet of viz, a pod of dolphins, and a DPV? Let's watch. Let's burn.
Woo! It's go, 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 go time.
That's not
Tick,
me.
tick,
I wish
boom.
it was me.
Who bringing the noise? Go, baby, we bringing our toys. Separate men from the boys. Chop up the singers, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go 8 going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. Tick, tick, boom. Hard body, body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I done want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's gonna be quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go 8 going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
So it's really easy to tell people. These newer DVDs got a lot of things.
It's go, 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 go time. Tick, tick, boom.
You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
Thanks, Dave. You know, they were obviously hanging around and playing with them there. All right. So let's go and talk about DPVs in general for a bit. Next slide, please. We'll do an introduction, not the whole course, can't give you all the information, but kind of what's going on. Next. So what is a diver propulsion vehicle, aka scooter? Well, maybe the dictionary would say it's an underwater battery-powered propulsion device that pulls you through the water. Oliver inserts much faster, much further, and with much less effort than finning. Or if you click on that slide, you'll get the next. Or number two, and I've seen this happen many times, a device that brings a shit-eating grin to the guy who tries it. And generally you see that after you give someone one for the first time, they go play with it. Next slide. Why use a DPV? Well, it gives you a lot more distance when you're diving. You can travel to distant sites without a boat, kayak. For instance, I've dove off of places where I've seen dive boats moored at just a little while before, off Maccabee. That's off Aquarium Reef, off the aquarium. And it'll fit in your car, unlike the kayak, which has to go on top and so on. It increases your physical endurance quite a bit and reduces your air consumption. So 1 hour dives become easy. 1.5 hour dives are quite reasonable. It's a lot easier diving. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, driving it around, zipping around, zooming through kelp forest. We'll see that in a little while. Frolicking with the sea lions and seals. The local life here also likes to play with you, or following fish. So let's look at someone diving in the local area in Pacific Grove. So they're going to go through the kelp forests over here. And it kind of shows you some of the fun you can have and the maneuverability. When I watched this the first time, I wondered how often she missed it and skewered. The propulsion blades are really good at making capes and kelp sound. Most people put a compass on. A lot of people, looks like a dive computer, right? Put on a depth indication. I think so, yes. Yeah, it looked to me like her movements. You can go super swifty fast, like the guy with the dolphins had it turned up pretty high because he wanted to keep up with them. They probably would have lost interest if he was just a sluggish DPV diver, right? But she was more tooling around in between the no, slow speed's definitely slower than that. You'll see closer to slow speed with Eric and I. Yes. I'll get there. We'll get there. Yep. So where might you use it? Where's this thing useful? Oh, well, these are some of the places we've dove with them and found them really useful. Several of us in the club. Over at San Carlos, right? Obviously, you can go down the breakwater. really easily and come back, go around the other side. Hey, Neil. Middle Reef, of course. There's a barge. Maybe a few of you have been to. It's a very long kick to get to the barge. And then you don't get much time at the barge before you have to come back. But it turns out it turns into a really easy dive with the DPV. You can go see the barge and go see the Metridium on the dive. On the Metridia, again, that kick down the pipe turns into a few minutes. And then you discover with the range of the DPV that there's a lot of rocks out there with Metridium. And I mean, you can spend 10 or 15 minutes going around to see all the different rocks. Maccabee, the Maccabee Pinnacle, right? This may be 1,000 feet offshore. That's easy to get to. You take a left-hand turn, you go down to Aquarium Reef, which has got these absolutely space-age looking giant inlet and outlet pipes that are the water feed for the aquarium. And then you take a right-hand turn about 45 degrees, and you can go visit Hopkins Reef and Hopkins Deep. Sean and I went over to those the other day, and we saw a school of sheep's head. I've never seen a school before. Point Lobos, that's the perfect spot for it. You've all seen the people at the DPVs there, and they're there for a reason. Bluefin is just incredible getting out there. We haven't tried to go to the spots that are marked on kind of the tech diver maps because there's a whole bunch of planning, to go to those spots. So haven't done something like that yet, but very fun. Monastery, over in the South Monastery, you take a left-hand turn and go down Mauna Lobo Wall, and you can make it, we could make it all the way to Granite Point if we wanted to before we turned around, but there's lots of good stuff to see there. Or on the other end, on North Monastery, if you go all the way around the wash rock, you may recall that there's this sand slope going down. Well, you head across the sand slope at 70 feet, and 1,000 or 2,000 feet later, you'll find a submerged reef that starts about 70 feet and goes down to 150. Just beautiful there. Amazing. Very doable in the DPV. Or if you want to, cool, something Dennis and I have talked about doing for years, it's really easy to go find the drop-off on the north end or south end, and you get to follow the curve all the way around and see all these rock reefs that are hidden in there and so on. Neat things. Carmel River Beach. Some of you have dove there. There's a big set of kelp, one of the few sets at the point. Few minutes to get to the point. You take a right-hand turn and head up towards Bluefin. Or it turns out that there's a really nice entry off Butterfly House now. You go in Butterfly House, it's protected. You go out, you take a left-hand turn, and you head back down towards the point with all the kelp in it. Beautiful diving. Where are Gersel Cove we've been and travel. So go ahead. I don't think I did. Butterfly House is what I meant. Yeah, Butterfly House. And these can be taken on airplanes if you want to travel. The limitation is the capacity in a single battery, and these batteries are airline accepted. Whereas a bunch of the bigger DPVs that have got lithium batteries on, you can't bring in a plane if you're interested. Next. Can I shore dive with one? Sure, absolutely. I'll show you a technique later on to reduce the amount of weight you're going in and out of the water with, back to what your normal diving weight is to shore dive. There's no additional weight to get in and out of the water. That's using a buoy. This thing, we'll see how it works in a little bit. But basically, I mean, this is kind of my rating of dive sites, right? If you're doing shore diving with the buoy, Lobos is trivial to do. San Carlos, Maccabee, and Butterfly House are all pretty easy to shore dive off of. Monterey and Carmel River are, moderate level. And so we tend to look for calmer days on the more difficult locations like those one, because who wants to get mixed up with the waves and so on when you're dealing with more equipment? But shore diving is very doable. So what's involved? Well, normally when you dive, you have to pre-plan, right? Where are you going to go? What are the compass headings? How much air am I going to use? Now, maybe you're so used to diving, you don't do that consciously for each dive, but with the DPV, you end up going further, and it's more important to think about things like that. So you think about how you're going to get there, got enough air, do you have enough battery to get there? And this is what the dive looks like. You put the batteries in the DPV and make sure it works. You put your exposure suit on. Without the rest of your dive equipment, you go into the water, you bring in the buoy and the DPV, you clip the DPV off in the buoy, and you get out of the water. You go back up to your car, you put on the rest of your gear, right? BC, tanks, weight belt. Now you're all weighted down. You walk into the water, you unclip the DPV from the buoy, you clip it to you, you go to your dive. You're finished with the dive, 1.5 hours, okay, bunch of stuff. You clip the boat DPV back in the buoy and get out of the water. So again, you went in and out with either the lighter DPV or your regular gear. You didn't have to carry both at the same time. And there you go, you could do it again, right? You leave the buoy in the water. You leave the buoy in the water with the DPV on it. And the nice thing is the batteries are so big, they last 2 dives for the kind of dives we do. Now, if you wanted to get into really big things, go out to the techie pinnacles and Point Lobos and so on, you'd only get 1 dive out of your batteries. You'd have to carry it out of the water and replace them. Okay, next. So, miscellaneous questions. Does it require training? Well, if you want to, you can get some. Personally, if I were to go get some, I'd go speak to this guy right here. I was really impressed what I've heard from him, what he's thought. Randall Spangler, he's the guy who did forecasting dive conditions for you a little while ago. And from my short conversations with him, he knows a lot about it. He'd teach you right. Otherwise, you could watch the Patty DVD. Maybe you could convince Mike Barrett to lend you his. And then you could just go in a few dives with the people who've been diving them in the club off San Carlos, and we could tell you how to do it. It's not too difficult. How do I get the details? Well, the manual's really nice. There's lots of videos. If you buy the one that other people uses, you just ask the other people in the club and they'll tell you. Or they're widely used, so there's lots of stuff on Google. Who can I go with? 5 people have them. And you can tow a non-DPV diver. You'll see a video at the end with me towing Sophia. I've done it on several dives yet. And she came out of the water with the said group. So what are the disadvantages? Well, you can get cold. You're not kicking, so you're not exercising. The water's flowing past you in the DPV. The biggest useful thing I found is a thick, tight-fitting hood. Because if the water flows inside your hood while you're going through the water, that cools you off. You can get lost. I mean, if you're going half a mile or a mile somewhere on the DPV, it's a lot different than going down the breakwater or going to see the Matridia over there. So, you plan out the navigation ahead of time. You look carefully where you're going, and if you get lost, you go up to the surface and figure out where you are. I mean, the typical problem is you're trying to get back to the entry point, and you can't tell when you've made it in most cases. They're going kind of parallel to the shore. How do I know if the entry point's right over there? So you go up and find out, oh, it's back that way 100 feet. There we go. Let's see, you can lose your buddy really quickly, right? So, normally there's problems with losing buddies and the poor visibility around here. Well, now you've got things that are moving maybe 1.5 miles per hour. I mean, bang, they're gone. So there's more buddy watching, and this really has meaning now with DPVs. I keep trying to convince people, would you please stay next to me? We're in the DPVs, then I could see you. And there's more to manage when you're diving. It's more complicated, right? So, for instance, I wouldn't suggest someone who's just gotten certified 2 or 3 months later, 2 or 3 months ago to buy a DPV. It wouldn't work well. Next. So let's look at this one. So this was really early on in Derek using his DPV. He bought one of these and he mounted his little GoPro on it. They make GoPro mounts for them, and showed up with this edited movie. It was great. What time is it? Thanks. We're doing good. Which one are we doing first? We're doing southbound stuff. So this,
You haven't told us what the plan is.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I promise I'll get there. I know it's a little strange. We're doing DPVs and then we're doing. So here we are. You saw the beach there. You've all seen. Here's yours truly going by. You can see the tow cart here. And you see me looking over my shoulder. So you can see where it is. Probably still not close. So we're over the I always bring it up right I think he has a little bit of light, not like full video. But he's got the. That's how side. Nice going. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, either way. We could have violated the rules and walked out of waivers. Why do that? Yeah, do I not? That's good. So here's the kelp field, Agrisistus field at the end of South Monastery, right near that corner trail over the Monolobo. Nice sunball. All right, next slide. Okay, so now we're going to answer your question. This is the DPV I keep referring to. It's by a company called DiveX. DiveX has done cave grade DPVs for a whole bunch of time. They're in the $7,000 to $10,000 range. And what really surprised a lot of people was when they came out with the black tips, which when they first introduced them were about $1,500. They're about $2,000 now. And they had a lot of the performance of the cave DPVs. Not quite the speed, not quite the range, but a fraction of the cost. And the advantage of these, we'll talk about these a little while later, the replaceable tool batteries. So, what are we talking about? The one that most of the club members have bought is the Tech model. It weighs 30 pounds with the batteries. When you carry it into the water, it's 30 pounds heavy. It's 30 inches long. The one that I bought is the Travel model. It weighs 25 pounds with the batteries, and it's 25 inches long. Why did I buy that one? I don't like weight when I'm walking in and out of the water. They're all neutrally buoyant. That's the only way it would work. The maximum continuous speed is 2.5 miles an hour or 210 feet per minute. That's really fast. It's very fast. It has a thrust of 57 pounds. That's why you use a tow cord. Maybe someone here could manage to hold on to it for a short period of time in a handle, but you wouldn't want to. Depth rating, further than we're going to dive, and it uses DeWalt style DCP batteries. These guys right here, or third-party batteries. They're a fraction of the price and don't go as far. 9 or 12 ampere hour units. So these are bigger than most people buy for their tools, but you can walk over to Home Depot and buy them. So as far as diving goes, the cruise speed, the standard speed of moving, middle speed, is 150 feet per minute at 1.7 miles an hour. And so to compare that, finning is 45 feet per minute with a normal finner, and 90 feet per minute is about the limit. Many of us could probably not even make 90 feet per minute in a sprint. That's incredibly fast because the drag goes up tremendously with speed. Cruise distance with the batteries that I have, it's 91 minutes or 2.6 miles it'll go. Now, obviously, you don't go 2.6 miles and run out of batteries. And you don't even want to run out of batteries a 1/10 of a mile short. So you need to obviously keep some reserve. The cruise distance with the bigger battery is 123 minutes of diving at 3.5 miles. Now, I use the smaller one. I get 2 hours diving with that size battery. Now, that's not all at cruise speed, right? You slow down to look at things, you turn it off, tuck it under your arm to fin around for a little while. Maybe you run it at a higher speed than cruise speed, speed 4, to cover the boring distance to get where you wanted to get to. But this depends upon the speed you're running and the amount of drag you exhibit on the DPV. And that's basically, yes. Yeah, there's a gas gauge. We'll see it in a few minutes. So that's planning, experience, and skill, especially the drag part. That's the thing that takes people the longest to learn. Now, you can get out there, high drag, you can go in the DPV just fine. But you won't get as far. So here we are for the technophiles in us. This is the performance graph. And so let's just take an example here. Here's the big battery, the 12 ampere hour battery, and running at cruise speed, which is 150 feet per minute, right there. You run it over there, and it says it lasts 120 minutes. Okay, or alternately, it goes some distance. Now, if you increased your speed to the limit continuous speed, 210 feet per minute, that's over here. Okay, and so we run this over here now, and now it lasts 45 minutes. So we went from 120 minutes to 45 minutes by not even doubling our speed. So you've got to keep that in mind when you're using it. We learned that. We passed that on, right? Don't just put the thing in high gear. You're not going to go as far. Next. It's weird. No, the 12 ampere hour cost almost twice as much, 1 3/4 times as much, but they weigh exactly the same. And the answer as to whether the DPV is going to weigh differently when you put different batteries in it is no. It took me a little while to figure that out, but when I did, it was like, of course, the thing has to be neutrally buoyant. It always occupies the same volume. It's got to weigh the same amount. So if you put a lighter battery in it, like I have a couple of around here, there's a couple on the floor over there. You pick one up, you pick one up. If you put a lighter battery in it, you have to add lead on the inside to make the thing neutral. Right, there's a third-party battery. It costs 1/2 to 1/3 what this one costs. It goes about 75% of the distance. We'll get there. We'll get to the cost. Yeah. The Tech one weighs 5 pounds more. It's 5 inches longer, and everyone who has it says, "I've got a Tech scooter," right? The difference is, why wouldn't they build them all this way, right? The shorter. The difference is the Tech one, aside from being neutrally buoyant, also has trim. If you let go of it in the water, it will stay horizontal. Okay? This one won't stay horizontal when you let go of it. It's shorter, right? The Tech one's got weight out here 5 inches further in the tube. So this one, when you let go of, it goes like this in the water. So when you use it, you have to compensate for that. And there are ways to compensate for it. And that's really instruction about the DP. I'm not going to get into that right now.
Hey,
The
Oliver,
motors are the same. They go the same speed. They last the same amount of time. They have the same computer. It's just this tube is different. And obviously the weighting in the inside is different.
hey, Oliver,
Hello. Yes.
could you rephrase questions so that we in Zoom can hear them?
I'm sorry. My mistake. Yes. Yes. I was just asked about what the difference between the two different scooters was. Thanks, Arnie, for reminding me. This is a really nice diagram that Randall drew. Spangler, right? These are very conservative distances, by the way. I questioned him about they were so short, and he has his reasons. So we'll just take them as being correct for the moment. So let's see, if you started from Maccabee, which is right here, right there. Right there. That's Maccabee Beach. The green circle is his calculation of how far you could go and get back, obviously, with a good reserve, hauling a camera with high drag on your DPV. And so he showed, well, there's Maccabee Pinnacle. We talked about that. Here's Aquarium Reef. He didn't mark that one, maybe because it's not a cool place to go. I don't know. Here's Hopkins Deep Reef over here and a bunch of other interesting places. Now, maybe more interesting than that is if you leave from Coral Street, right? We've dove off Coral Street before. You can get to Aumentos, that I paid $220 one day to go to, really easily. It's not that far. I was standing on the boat. I said to Mary Jo, that's Coral Street, isn't it? She says, yeah. I've got a DPV. I think I could make it out here. She goes, yeah, you can dive this, no problem. The biggest problem I see is finding the darn thing, but whatever. That's a mating Amtrak's. What else has he mentioned out here? Where's Eric's Pinnacle? Oh yes, right, Eric's Pinnacle. You could make easily too, right? Another prime dive site, leaving from Coral Street. I haven't done that yet. But you know, we'll go out there sometime. We're getting there. So how do you operate it? Well, it's all controlled through this red switch. Everyone see the red switch in the handle? It's a momentary contact switch. Like that. You push it down with your thumb when you're holding onto the handle. And double click and hold it and it turns on. So it won't turn on by itself because nothing artificial hopefully will double click it, right? If it just gets pressed in the car, the motor's not going to start. Release it to stop. So if for some reason the thing became disconnected from you, it's not going to run away. Power. So they kind of talk about gears, but there's nothing mechanical. It's a motor controller in there. And so there are 7 different speeds or gears. 3 is cruising speed, double click to upshift, single click to downshift. 2 slower. One is a nice look at something speed. And then there's 0, of course, which means you let go, push it under your arm, and you go dive. It's neutrally buoyant. It's hydrodynamically designed. It's really easy to swim around with the DPV attached to you. If you really want to go a long time, you stick it on your butt ring and it just strings out right behind you. Or I suppose you could moor it on something, but I haven't worked up the courage yet to leave it underwater. Display. So it's got a gas gauge right here. We'll turn this on and demonstrate in a little bit, but there's a display right here you might be able to see. That'll light up when we use it. And so 4 bars is full, right? And it indicates. So that's critical well, not critical, but it's convenient. It's really convenient because you don't have to do a tech dive style kind of thing. And okay, I'm going to go exactly 20 minutes out. I'm going to come 20 minutes back and my deco is going to be okay, right? You could actually go somewhere and look at the gas gauge and see how much charge you have left. Very often I'll get back for the first dive with my DPV full, but I'm really good at it. And I'm very low drag. So, yeah, okay. So on your second dive, right, common sense says, well, this is a second dive. So let's stop a few times in the dive and check the thing out and make sure we're still doing good. And then there's a gear indicator, right? As you go up and down in gears, you get to see what speed you're at. So another thing that distinguishes this modern scooter, and I'm not saying there aren't others, maybe there are, I don't know them personally, from the original recreational scooters, is the performance is much higher. And let's look at the next slide. So this is the one we saw before, but they plotted recreational scooters on it. And so let's just look quickly. This is the cruising speed, 150 feet per minute. And here's that high capacity battery we looked at. And there's the 2 hours of run time over there. And so let's compare it to I've heard of this thing before, but I don't actually know what it is, a Yamaha 500. But I know those used to be a popular scooter. You recall hearing of that one, Dennis? Yamaha 500? No? Okay, Yamaha 500. So we see, first of all, it never gets up to that high time. But if you look at the same cruising speed, well, it can make it to the cruising speed. That's good. But the Yamaha only goes 45 minutes compared to 2 hours. Or if you look at the Scuba Pro DPVs, which used to be popular DPVs, they won't even make it to 150 feet per minute. And they're also stuck down in that same 45-minute range. So it's just another world level in performance. Now, if they plotted and I showed you cave level scooters on here, they'd be able to go further and faster. But that's another price range, and I'm not talking about that. So you asked me about the cost. So here's the cost. For the tech model that most of the people have bought, it's $2,100 for the scooter, $360 for 2 of the medium-sized batteries. I don't know, it's like $450 or $500 for the big ones. I'm not exactly sure. It varies. Look it up in Home Depot. Look it up in the Google. The charger is about $100. I got a nice dual bay charger. Charges them really quickly. The accessories like the compass, front snap, buy yourself a mooring ball, etc. Say $100. So that's $2,700 total. And you're good for 2 dives a day. If you bought a couple more batteries, you'd be good for 4 dives a day or 2 really long dives a day, right? Because you can swap them out very easily. Or the travel is a little bit less expensive, so that's $2,500, $200 less, and there's the weight difference. Or if you buy off-brand batteries, like Jim showed you one of over there, they're about half the price of the DeWalt's or even less. They're pretty cheap. I did not buy the cheapest off-brand battery I could find. I looked around till I found one that I thought would really work, because some off-brand batteries are totally fake. There's nothing. Okay. So let's look at another. So this is the club's trip to Salt Point, Gersel Cove, and we had 3 people there with DPVs and 4 people to dive. So I towed Sophia behind me. She'd never been on one before. And I gave her a quick briefing, which is, hold on to my tank valve. We're going to communicate every time before we go, right? If you don't stick your hand where I can see it, I'm not going to move because I don't know what's going on. And if something bad goes on, bang me in the head. That was it. And it turned out at one point she did that because something I've learned, it's kind of obvious. I'm controlling the descent rate, and if the towed diver isn't clearing, they need to stop the descent. me in the head. I let go of the and so here we are. There's Sophia. Well, you just let yourself float. This was right around the corner coming out of the cove, I'd say. This beautiful sediment. So I decided with the overhang, we should go investigate what it looked like inside. I descended a little bit to make sure I didn't peel her off. You'll see her finning later on. It's not to provide propulsion, it's because she was getting in a wetsuit. And it's an exercise. What's that? Yeah, they do. Again, these newer ones have a reasonable noise. I would call it low. Other people have told me, man, does that sound loud? But it's pretty reasonable. I have a friend, Bo Peng, a prior club member, decided to go out and buy a piranha. And I think I know why they called it a piranha. It sounds like a buzzsaw underwater. Like, there goes Bo. There's a wreck which we discovered, managed to find, I mean, and these are pieces of the wreck scattered around. It's over on the left-hand side of the opening of Gersel Cove.
Oliver,
this
is
is
there
great.
a
Watch
problem
this.
with, things fouling the props?
Yes, that's a great question. Okay. So the DPV loves to make kelp salad. Obviously it's sucking to some extent as you're moving along. And so you have to you have to either avoid that stuff or push it aside, or when it gets into the prop, it typically gets chopped and the prop goes out of balance, and you can tell immediately there's seaweed in the prop, and you just let go of the motor, pull a couple pieces of seaweed out, and go again. So it's not a big problem. I did discover once when I needed to return in the surface that you can't motor in the surface of the DPV through a kelp bed. Duh. that doesn't work. But, you know, underwater, normally you fit yourself between. So there is a little bit of planning involved in what route you're going to take, the exact route to the stocks. Next. Okay. So we're going to play with this thing right now. Let's try it out. And, okay. Could you perhaps hold the microphone somewhere near me? And yeah. So right, here's our is that good? Pool batteries. And you guide, you hold the DPV up. You stick the batteries in there. And the bottom connector is not easy to find, so come on. I practiced this a whole bunch before I came here, so I didn't run into this exact problem during the presentation. Come on. Come on. It's terrible. Let's try this so I can see it. There we go. Okay, now I could see the connector. Make sure it's attached. It's really bad. It's not very helpful if you get in the water and your battery falls out. 2 attached batteries. Oh, there's an O-ring. So you want your O-ring to be clean. I don't know. I can't say. I don't know of anyone personally who's flooded one yet, but I'm sure it's happened. You snug the retaining strap down to stop the top from coming off. Okay, there we are. And so, oh, and then you, right before you're going to bring it into the water, of course, you're going to make sure it's going to run. So there you go. Speed 3, it's running. Speed 4, speed 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to let it go. It's going to measure the batteries, and we have full charge. So there's a demo. I'm not going to play with it too much because the bearing's supposed to be used in the water, and they warn you not to run it too long on dry land. But I always do a test before I bring it in the water to make sure I actually mated those batteries properly on the inside. Okay.
Hey, Oliver.
Hello?
Yeah. Hi, it's Jane. Do you,
Yeah.
do you have to grease those O-rings?
Yeah, standard O-ring care.
Just like a camera.
Apps standard O-ring care. Yeah. Now
Okay.
my camera care is, I do not clean O-rings every dive, but you may not want to do that. I don't know, but that's my opinion. But as I did look at them, right? I want to make sure I don't stick that thing on there and put rocks in from transporting it in my car. But it's a
So if
pretty
you
big
have
O-ring.
a dog hair or a cat hair.
Yeah, it's a pretty big O-ring.
Okay.
So let's have some fun.
They're not faster than on your camera.
Yeah. So these work really easily with people with harness backplate systems. If you don't have a harness backplate system, then you use your cummerbund as a replacement for the D-ring that I'm going to attach it to. But I would recommend, if you don't have a harness backplate system, you talk to some people with them and try changing. I was really hesitant to change several years ago. I did. It was so easy to change, and it's much better. Okay, so you can see when I put this harness backplate system on, there's a D-ring here. Either that, or you could use your cummerbund and attach her on the cummerbund, or people who buy these and want to use them without a harness system get it's essentially a climbing harness you can buy. And it's got these same straps in it you see me having right here with the D-ring in the right spot. So Derek uses one of those. I was hoping he'd be here with it. It was very funny. The first time he showed up with this thing, he never put it on. And we're at Lobos, and there's this massive straps all in the wrong length, right? You're trying to figure out, how do you stick your legs through, and how do you cinch it up? And okay. Okay, so we're in the water, we're floating, everything's neutral, right? You typically the tow cord's clipped off from the top, so doesn't get in the way of things. You pull the tow cord off, stick it through your D-ring, you clip it on here, and you go. Now, this is what you saw in all the videos, was this triangle connecting someone's O-ring. And when I'm horizontal, which I'm not going to demonstrate right now, it just all lines up. And the natural way to run this thing, we're not doing instruction here, so, but the natural way to run this thing is to run the DPV below you, and you're up here, because you don't want the fan blowing on you. All that wasted energy, and you get cold. Right, so you're above it. That makes sense?
One thing you might mention is most of the young ones are single-handed, like that one.
Yeah.
Which is the room.
What's the question?
Yeah, Neil was pointing out that most of the modern DPVs have single handles, and he was relating that people put the handles on top while steering. I actually run the handles at 45 degrees over here, where the display is up straight, but it works.
Yeah, typically, if you're going straight, they'll have it on top pretty much, and then maybe it will go, but then they'll rotate it as they turn. So that's all right.
So let's look at the buoy just quickly. I talked about this for a while. You make these things yourself. You go find another diver or go over and surreptitiously look at what all the buoy people have done over at Point Lobos. And right, you need a float, obviously. And maybe 10 feet of rope and a weight. A bunch of people use a boat mushroom anchor. I had plenty of these sitting around, so I got this.
We can't hear.
Yeah, so, and then you put an O-ring on it, maybe 2 feet down. It's very convenient, I find, to moor the DPV, right? This is all floating like this, a couple feet below the surface of the water. It doesn't quite move around as much, and it seems like a better situation. Let's see, I was going to say something about this. Oh, yes, that's right. The first one of these I built with woven nylon rope, which I had plenty of at home. And that turned out to be a bad idea because woven nylon rope is so flexible, 10 feet of it immediately snarl. So I got, I don't know, it's not that horrible ski tow rope, but it's whatever. Another kind of plastic rope you can see it's moderately stiff and it works much better. So this is the buoy I was talking about, right? So when we go in to do the dive, I've got my, when we go in to set the DPV in the water, I don't have the harness and backplate on. Instead, I've got my exposure suit on, and I carry this, and I carry this, and we go in and find a suitable spot, maybe 20 feet out from the shore, and set it up. And then my other buddies come in and they clip off too. Taking it out, of course, you have to lift the thing out of the water, and it's we have 25 pounds there and 10 pounds there. So that's 35 pounds, which is a lot less than your scuba gear, but could still be a little bit tricky, right? In the big beach with waves. So we'll get a few people together and collaborate on this. Typically one person in the shore, one person in the water. We'll hand off one thing at a time. You go back in, you get the other thing, and it all happens and it all works. So that's about it. Any other questions? Thanks, Jim.
Oh, yes, I have a question.
Please.
You have to keep your thumb on the red button the whole time?
You certainly do. If you want to go.
Okay. You can't just latch it in to slow.
Cannot.
Okay. That can be bad for arthritis people.
Yeah, Neil was relating that there are some other DPVs you can get which do have locks. They don't have one here, and I imagine if you spoke to people at DiveX about it, they'd show you out the door. I just get the impression they really like the idea of their deadman switch.
Okay.
Yeah, other questions?
Oh, I have a question about, isn't it easy to be going up and down?
Hang on a moment, Jane.
Oh,
Frequently. So yes, thanks. Sorry. The question was, how often do you slow down and in particular stop on the DPV to look at something? And my answer is frequently. So first of all, when you get down to speed 1, it's fairly slow. It's a reasonable speed to look at things going past. And you can't look at all little minute stuff, but you can get a good look at stuff. And then you just pull your finger off the trigger and you stop. If you wanted to move around and look at something, all right, it's attached here. Stick it underneath your arm over here, right? Push your arm down that holds a DPV back there, and then you can move around and look at stuff. If you wanted to really swim somewhere, you unclip the tow hook from the ring in front, you put it on your butt ring. Now I'm talking about harnesses now. There's another D ring back here. And you put the nose clip on the butt ring. See this clip right here? And that means when you move around, the DPV straightens right out behind you. It's very convenient to move with it when it's over in the butt ring. I don't end up doing that much because I don't do that much swimming with the DPV not moving me. But quite frequently I'll stop and stick it under my shoulder and go look at stuff. I can't imagine holding a manual camera and a light and a DPV all at the same time. But you mean transporting it with me? I would, if I would, yeah, I probably go for the butt ring at that point, right? Then it would get out of my way entirely, and I'd be able to move my body around and approach anything I wanted to and take images of it. Yeah, Neil's saying if you're doing video, it's mounted on the DPV. So those things you saw Derek do earlier, he's got a mount right here on his DPV with the GoPro sitting on it. And the neat thing about his mount is you can turn the camera sideways. So you actually saw that in some of the, right, he looked that way. Jane, yes, you had a question.
oh,
Sorry.
it'll probably come back to me.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes. I do not know. I know that people with, I'll get to the compass in a moment. I know that people with 3D printers are printing stuff constantly to fit on these, right? Like, for instance, Sean has his grip, which is quite popular, is a 2-piece grip. It goes on both sides of the center. And sorry, the second part you asked me about compass. Yes. Okay. So, this is just I can't read the name off it. It's a standard kayaking compass, a very common kayaking compass off of Amazon. You use the kayaking compass because you're looking at it backwards when you look at the line. So that's what the kayaking that solves. And it's got this big thing, which I think is meant to stretch around a kayak. So I just clipped off the extra and took that and put that on there. And that's my compass, and it's not perfect. I have to keep moving it around, but it works. So the question was, do we refer to you guys as the scooter tutors? Any other questions? If it's Jim's meeting, I think we've used up our time, Jim.
Oh, can I ask one more question?
Yes, please go ahead.
I just remembered, I've been wondering this from the beginning. So you have the scooter you have to be really careful when you're going up and down, changing.
Yes,
How do you manage that?
it's not unstable. It's not like if you tilt it up, you go. Whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite controlled and reasonable, assuming you're not misusing the scooter and pointing it directly at the sky.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
If you can make it like a minute and a half.
I can do that. When I did my scooter class years and years and years ago, haven't done much scootering since. It was in Hawaii, and we went out with probably a more primitive scooter than these day and age. And the gentleman who was the instructor said, "Here's a tank of nitrox off the bank, you know." And I said, "Well, I'd like to analyze that." And he said, "Well, it just comes off the bank, and they're all the same, and it should be fine." And I said, "Yes, that's great, but I'd still like to analyze it." And he said, "But I got to take it off the wall and disconnect it." And I said, "Yes, but I'd still like to analyze it." So eventually he did, and I analyzed it, and it was between 70 and 75% oxygen. And given that you can go up and down, and we did go up and down quite far, quite fast, highly dangerous in that situation. And his only remark of apology was to say, "Oh, that must be someone's deco tank." So yeah, watching your you can go left and right as much as you like, but watch it going up and down.
Any other questions from Zoom? Okay. I think that's it. And I don't see Oliver now. I guess he stepped out. Oh, there we are. I'm looking way over here, even in red. How about a hand for Oliver then? Yep. Thanks. Cool. That was interesting. Thanks, Oliver.
Some more people should go out and buy some scooters.
We'll increase the scooter tutor group. Next I have is welcoming guests. So I see